Hello everyone, my name is Brian Stevens and I am the President and CEO of the Hampton Roads Chamber, and I want to welcome you to this latest edition of Hampton Roads Chamber Chats. We're honored to have as our guest today Chris Stone. Chris, welcome.
Thanks.
Chris is the chair of the Hampton Roads Chamber Board of Directors. He just took over in December, and we want to chat with him today. So Chris, again, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself and about Clark Nexsen, the company.
So I actually started with Clark Nexsen in 1993.
Okay.
When I started at Clark Nexsen, there were 40 employees. I was the first structural engineer that they hired to start their structural department. I had actually worked for a captive consultant prior to starting work with Clark Nexsen, and I had worked with Clark Nexsen actually since the early 80s when I was in their Madrid, Spain office.
Wow.
So the firm over time, we actually grew the firm from 40 employees to over 500 employees. We went from one office, actually used to be in downtown Norfolk, we're now in Town Center, but we went from one office to 9 offices, and we're a mid-Atlantic and an international architectural engineering practice.
Yeah.
So it's been a wild ride.
Well, it has, but I think the Clark Nexsen story is one of success. And I think that's emblematic of what we're trying to do with all of our members here in the Hampton Roads Chamber, is make them success, let them grow, create those jobs that are so important to our economy. But Chris, you've been involved in the Chamber for quite some while. You've served in various capacities, obviously, which allowed you to fleet up, so to speak, and be the chairman of the board this year. But why did you initially get involved with the Chamber?
You know, I think I got involved because there was somebody who was involved in the Chamber that actually was involved, and back then it was Leadership Hampton Roads. And so I was approached back in the late 80s, early 90s to go through Leadership Hampton Roads, now Lead 757.
Right, right.
But that was my first exposure, I think, to the Chamber. And there are people that I had in my class that I have continued, you know, to maintain those relationships throughout the years. So that was my first kind of involvement with the Chamber. From there, I got involved in the divisions, so the Virginia Beach division.
Boards, yeah.
And you know, that was a good opportunity to network with people and get to know the Chamber, you know, a little bit more. I got involved in some other organizations that paralleled the Chamber a little bit. So I was the president of the Central Business District Association for 2 years.
Yeah.
And after that, I continued to move into leadership roles within the Chamber. So it's been a very worthwhile endeavor.
Yeah. Well, you've obviously been involved in the Chamber a while. Could you share with us your thoughts about the importance of the Chamber and the role that it plays here in Hampton Roads?
So one of the things that I talked about at our annual meeting is kind of the 4 pillars that I approach everything with in terms of the Chamber. The first one being, you know, pro-business.
Absolutely.
We are the only organization that is really pro-business in Hampton Roads, representing large businesses, small business concerns, really the only group that really focuses on that business environment. The other thing that I want to focus on is just being proactive.
Right.
There are a lot of things that, a lot of different organizations are very, you know, reactive to things, but I think the Chamber is probably one of the only organizations that really steps out in front of a lot of issues.
Try to get out ahead of them. Yeah.
And then partnership is the other one, you know. I mean, I think that it's important for businesses to understand that the Chamber can be their partner in growing their business. And it doesn't make any difference if you've got several thousand employees, you know, or 2 employees.
Right.
The Chamber can fill that role. And the last one, really, I think it's important that we be a little bit playful.
Yeah.
You know, plenty of opportunities to get together and fellowship and to learn, you know, your fellow, you know, Chamber members. So there's a lot of different things that the Chamber can offer.
Yeah. Are there, in your capacity as chairman of the board, are there specific things you want to accomplish this year, or was those 4 your focus areas?
I mean, that is the focus, but there are a lot of things that we're going to continue to do that we do well. One, I think, is we've talked about, you know, legislative priorities. The General Assembly is in session right now. You know, there's always, you know, legislation that we can be involved with. I always tell people that when it comes to the General Assembly, you know, laws are written every day, and if you're not at the table, you're going to be on the menu. And with Gretchen Heel coming on, you know, I think she's doing a great job. She's been a great addition. And you know, she really represents the Chamber well when it comes to legislation. So that, I think that's one area, but you know, certainly just trying to recover from COVID.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things, that the chamber can do to help businesses.
Yep.
And I hope that members, look at the chamber as a resource.
Yeah. Chris, I know because we've worked together that you really have your pulse on the business community here in Hampton Roads. What are your thoughts about the business community in here in Hampton Roads and our economy? Are there gaps? Are there anything that you think we should really focus on to shore up the business community and ensure that businesses are more successful?
I think one of the things that I would like to continue to focus on that the chamber can help with is just general economic development and
Right.
bringing new businesses, not only to the region, but also maintaining the businesses that we have here in the
Yeah,
region.
yeah.
I hear so many stories about regions where, businesses move into the region and then after a while they become disillusioned and they move away from the region. So retention is extremely important.
Yeah.
But just the general, business environment, I think, is important.
Yeah.
We are a right-to-work state, which is important to, new businesses locating to Virginia. We're also working on some of the difficult issues that every region is struggling with, like, affordable housing and workforce development and workforce retention. I mean, it goes on and on and on. But those are all things that the chamber is going to continue to work on.
That's right, and that's really the core of what we do, but is the economic development piece of it, creating those jobs, ensuring businesses are successful. Chris, let me ask you this. If I am a business owner or a president or CEO of a business here in Hampton Roads, why should I join the Hampton Roads Chamber?
I think it gives you access to a lot of things that you typically wouldn't have if you really don't go out and seek it, on your own. We talked about partnerships, the relationship we have, for example, with the 757 Alliance,
Right.
and all the things that it's doing for the region. If you're not a member of the chamber, you may not have the same access
Yeah.
that you would normally get. The other thing that I tell people is, it's that whole 6 degrees of separation. You might meet one person, and he's going to know someone else, and after a while, your network is going to continue to grow. And I think that's another reason why it's important to belong to the chamber.
Yeah, yeah. I think that we have a value proposition for every company out there in Hampton Roads. So.
Absolutely. Whether, like I said, you're 5,000 employees or you're 2
Or
employees.
2 employees,
It
yeah.
doesn't make any difference.
Sure is.
The chamber offers a lot.
Yeah. Well, Chris, I want to thank you for a couple of things. One, I want to thank you for your involvement in the chamber so far. I want to thank you for accepting the chairmanship of our board this year. I look forward to working with you, and I appreciate your leadership.
Happy to do it, and I encourage everybody to join the chamber.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, this completes this edition of Chamber Chat. Thank you for watching.